One of the things I've had to do over the last week is called an APA. I don't know what it stands for, because it was something that Arden started, but I know what it means is self-assessment. So every year we have to reflect on the year that's been, and go what was the good things and what was the bad things, and how we're going to improve for this year. So I'm currently writing all of this. And what that involves is actually looking at the course completion rates. That's what we use fully, and I think that's the terms that we use. Course completion, practice use the same terms, believe it or not. Course completions, how many of our students are actually completing and succeeding? Okay, so how are we going to control all this? And we've, Arden and I talked about this for a while, because we've noticed this ourselves. We have been really interested in this research by this woman, Jane Elliott. And she's really keen on what's called the phenotype. And the phenotype is just the way that genes are expressed physically. Okay, so if I've got some particular gene in me, I don't know. The fact that I've got genes in me that have brownness means I've got moles, maybe. That sort of thing. That's a phenotype, okay? So what something looks like. And what Jane Elliott actually found is that eye colour is actually very important for understanding how society works, okay? And she's done some pretty robust research here. And what she's found is that brown and hazel are dominant genes. So if you've got brown eyes, then you've got some dominant genetics in you, okay? And if you've got green blue eyes, you're recessive. There's something not quite right with you, okay? So this is
You guys not heard of this?
slightly deviant.
No, she was just going around looking at all of our eyes before.
Oh.
Just cloaked.
Okay, and what Jane's noticed, and we've been watching over the last, we've done our APAs now for about 5 years, 5 years is right, and so we've been trying to see whether this is actually right. So this is what Jane Elliott found. She sampled kids all around the United States, okay, and she found that if you've got brown and hazel eyes, you tend to be 75% better when it comes to education, right? And this is all assessment, whether it be oral or whether it be written. Okay, welcome. Now, one thing that some people won't be aware of the BYD is one thing you've got to be really, really clear about the BYD is simply that for those of you that are new, that we operate on what's called a table philosophy here. That means we've always got a seat at the table for whoever's coming in, okay? The other side of that philosophy is that we know, like Thursday, if Evans, he's going to be a bit late, he has to leave earlier, and but we know when part of this table philosophy, just digressing from this, is that we always honour the person that comes in. There's no such thing as a parking us there in the BYD, because Jean's been at work all morning. So she's been rushing. So, welcome. Well, no, you haven't been at work. No, you've been really busy. So welcome. Anyway, okay, welcome. Okay, so what we've been talking about this research from Jane Elliott. We started with Marx, which you'll remember from your university days, and we're going into Jane Elliott's research, and she's found that brown hazel eyes perform 75% better on assessment items of all types. And she's also found that if you've got brown and hazel eyes, that you tend to actually show strong leadership attributes at a really young age. You're the one that people want to follow. And then after extensive bits of research she's been doing, she's found that most world leaders, except one, his name's Donald Trump, have brown and hazel eyes. Donald Trump has blue-green. The other thing that she's noticed too is that blue-green eyes make up the highest prison population amongst all ethnic groups.
Sweet. I shouldn't be here.
What are you arguing for?
I'm just laughing, it's just funny. It doesn't even make any sense. All ethnic groups. Some ethnic groups have been.
Hey, stop arguing back. That's your recessive gene talking. Okay, so Arden and I talked this over the last few years since it started, and we've actually noticed this from the BYD. that most of our fails tend to be in the blue-green group. In fact, I don't know how most of you are here today. It's obviously our hard work and not your hard work, okay? We have found that when we've got quitters, and we do have quitters in the BYD, they come from that group as well. We've decided that most of our problems in the BYD, full stop, are in the blue-green eye group, full stop. Okay? And we've actually found it a lot easier as tutors working with the brown hazel eye group. Why are you all laughing?
That's funny.
So, you know, these statistics to us really, really matter. So this is what I'm proposing that we should be doing this year. We need to review all the selection criteria. This is a place to benefit you.
Just wear contacts to your interviews.
Like, do you really want to be sitting next to this person?
Divine.
I can't believe it.
It's a divide. We got one.
Yeah.
That would like us.
No, no.
Just a night rack, it's a joke. You'd be on us.
Yeah, well, I actually know the marks that you're getting. It was a lot better than the rest of this group. What? You're sympathising with all these ones. And Jane, what do you think about it? Should we keep these students or get rid of them?
Get rid of them. No, keep them.
Yeah, but look, they're in the final year. I'm going to end up having to spend, I can just say, look, the first years, most of them are brown eyes, okay? They're going to only require like 5 minutes from me a day. The rest of you, you're probably going to require 6 hours from me a day. Why are you laughing?
Because we're here to make these guys look good.
Okay, so I've also decided that we need to know who the successors are going to be. So that means I can now target all my time and my resources onto this set of table, this little bit of group here, and also Prisca, because I noticed she had brown eyes. We also need to identify who's going to fail, because we don't want to waste our energy on you. Okay, and we need to empower those who are more likely to succeed. Have the tools of success. So whatever you need, you both, you can come to me. Okay? I'm not going to bother with this group. What's wrong, Izzy? No, I'm being honest. You need to hear the honest truth. You are a failure. Are you crying?
No.
Right, and the key, I think, is we need to keep you lot in your place, eh? I think it's best that you know that you're scum now.
So shouldn't we be sitting on the floor?
Actually, it's good. It comes on the floor.
Actually, could you pick a spoon or fork?
Comes on the floor.
Alright, we'll go.
She doesn't speak for me, sorry. oh, sorry.
Not only do you have the wrong eye colour, you've got the wrong hair colour.
That couldn't take long.
Hey, look, this is just typical.
This is more
Typical of your group, eh? It's like, give a dog a bone and he's going to run wild with it. Hey, you can go back onto your seats.
This is quite nice though.
But actually, it's great.
I totally digressed there, but what were your reflections on all that?
Wow, what the heck? I'm going.
You have
having a discussion yesterday, coincidentally, about people's eye colours changing over time. And Fred was putting it out there for others to reflect on rather than just, what can you find on Google, and looking at the development. And he was trying to relate to whether there was, I think he was wanting to relate it to whether spiritual enlightenment took you back to bluer eyes that you had when you were younger. So maybe there's some development in these brown rooms.
Yeah, maybe we change our eye colour.
It just shows that our theories and our logics and everything we think we have as to why we could be racist or why we group people into classes and whatnot are absolutely ridiculous.
Isms.
There's no sense behind it.
Isms are arbitrary. Anything that's got an ism attached to it is arbitrary. It actually has no physical definition in truth.
But wasn't there my ex-teacher that
Yeah, her name was Jane Elliott.
Oh, was it that one?
Yeah. So Jane Elliott, literally one day at school, she separated her class into blue and brown, blue eyes, brown eyes, and she actually built up a culture of racism within that class, a real culture of racism. It was done on purpose to actually teach that racism is arbitrary. She did it completely on purpose to teach that. But like she actually, like, I've done this before with the students. We've actually separated the student. I've sent all the blue eyes out. That we had too many blue eyes today, so I don't know how you managed to get through this far. Normally it is the opposite. So normally if I sent you out of the room, I'd actually get this small group here to be as horrible as possible to you when you come in, to do the discriminatory stuff that's going on. And what Jane Elliott would reveal in her theory was that there's always that meta story that's behind it. There's always that these ideas that people carry behind it that belittle, that make people feel like scum, that treat people like scum. And it was horrible saying to Izzy she's nothing but a failure, because she isn't a failure. And that's horrible, because but then we know that we've worked with kids where that could have actually been said directly to them. And it's been said because of arbitrary stuff. The teachers made judgments. Or the person's made judgments. So skip there. So Mark's when he's trying to say how do we keep all this stuff together, and this is quite complex, but it's just enough to just get your ideas around things. Okay, he talks about how society has got two parts. It's got a base. The base is its foundation, and then on top of that base, it's got a superstructure. Now the base is the means of production, how a society actually produces things. It's interesting, in New Zealand now we don't really produce many things. We produce a lot of services, but not a lot of things. And so people would say we're in a very dangerous society, because when you produce services, there are times that you don't need those services, and then those people lose jobs. Or what's interesting over in the Hutt Valley now, for those of us from the Hutt, there's been a whole new structure for the bus companies there, new companies come on board with buses, and it looks like all our big commuter buses are going plus the airport flyer. Because it's a service. We need to save money. It's really, really easy to reduce access to a service to raise money. Really, really easy. You have to make a profit. Whereas actually, if you're producing something like goods and there's demand for those goods, it's really hard to fire people when there's demand for those goods. Okay, so you've got the economy, and then on top of the economy, and that's what they are actually doing, what the economy actually produces. On top of it, you've got this thing called superstructure, which is everything that's not directly involved with the production part of the economy. And that can be generally the way that the society has a government, the way that society defines family, the types of religions that are dominant in society, how education is defined, how culture is defined. It's where all our art and it's interesting too because it also defines what is really good quality and what is really bad quality. And some people talk about it as high culture, low culture. Some people do. I've seen a talk where someone once said, you know, which is high culture and which is low culture. An episode of The Simpsons or a Shakespearean play. And many people would say Shakespeare is high culture. If you've got a good understanding of Shakespeare, then you're closer to understanding the bourgeois way of thinking. Whereas if you've got a good understanding of The Simpsons, you just know how to feed your brain with rubbish. Now those of us in the academic sphere go, well, if you actually really watch Simpsons, you'll see that Simpsons is a very big critique of society and maybe just as high as Shakespeare, but not even, most people wouldn't agree with me there. Most would say Shakespeare is the key defining element of culture. And it's quite interesting when you're working with, I'll just pick on Pacifica young people here in Porirua at Aotea College. There was a time at Aotea and even Mana where the concept of if Pacifica young people were really good at performance. So let's get these Pacifica young people into barbershop quartets. It's slightly higher than having them doing Pacifica cultural performances. So it enables them to engage with a whole lot of different cultural groups, like travelling over to the States and engaging in competition. New Zealand had, one of the colleges out here had the world best barbershop quartet one year. All Pacifica people. But they were engaging in a higher culture, and I hate it, I don't like thinking like that. But that is the key sort of way of, when we're talking about power, it's this one group, one way of thinking that dominates all, and everything falls underneath, and some things are lower than others. And the way that all happens is through ideology. And my way I just say how I define ideology is just the way that we are taught to think, the way that we're taught to think what is right is right. Another term for it is worldview. Now, so that's Marx. He's going, the ideology, this whole concept of what is esteemed culture, that's going to have dominance and power. Okay. Then Gramsci comes along, and Gramsci is in France, he's in prison and for his ideas, and he goes, it's more than ideology, and Adam would have covered some of this with you too, and I never pronounce this right, so Eugene will probably correct me. But I say hegemony, but I always say it wrong. Hegemony or hegemony, okay? Gramsci basically says it's not actually ideology where the power's in, it's in the hegemony, it's in the hegemony where the power is in, because people buy into a lie. Everyone goes, this is the game we play because this is the game that we play. We're all buying into a lie. And to a certain extent that's right. Like, who said that we have to live in a society where money is the key way that we live? Why is it that we just naturally wake up in the morning and go, this is normal? You get up, you go to work, you go home. Since when is that completely normal? Good example of hegemony is Divergent, but also Hunger Games. Have you seen Hunger Games?
You should watch it.
Yeah, Hunger Games is brilliant to sit down and watch this stuff with because you can see it all happening, okay? You can see that concept of the economy, the means of production, and each group has their own place in that means of production. But one group holds all the power, don't they? And they actually have written the rules of the game. Right to the point that they have written that there's another area that you can't go to at all. So they've completely written the rules of the game. They have set up the government, they have set up all the institutions and the ways of believing. So they've set up the religion as well, even though you don't have a a sort of a concept of church or gods. They've set up what you believe is true. They've set up this ideology, and every single colony or every single group has bought into what the Hunger Games are saying. They realise that, as in every year that 2 names get selected and they all go into the Hunger Games, they know that that's just the truth. That's how the world operates.
Do you think that society needs certain ideologies to run?
Well, Marx would say that you can only replace an ideology with an ideology.
Chaos otherwise, probably.
Yeah, you would, and that's the thing. But you still need that. I'm a little bit of a Hunger Games there. Yeah, so they would say that ideology enables stability. You would get complete chaos. But then the hegemony is that dominant truth that maintains stability. And that hegemony in itself may at times need to be questioned. And Gramsci would go, it's not actually from people in universities that will question it. He also said that people in universities are the ones that are probably writing this stuff anyway. Okay, so for Gramsci, he talks about an intellectual that's in a university, but he also talks about an organic intellectual. They're the ones that are on the street. They're the ones that are thinking and doing things different all the time. They're the Polynesian Panthers of the world. Okay, they are Ngā Tamatoa. They are the groups that are going, how do we disrupt this?
So those are innovators.
We're now moving into conflict, so no, they wouldn't fit into. Merton wants to put them into this theory, but Marx and the conflict people will go, no, they're not part of that game. They're actually saying someone's got power,